You've seen war in movies. Armies collide, heroes fight. The camera flinches, cutting away before the worst hits the screen. There's always a before, there's always an after. But the in-between, that part stays vague on purpose. Because most of us aren't ready to sit through what war actually does to people who never held a weapon. Now, rewind 30,000 years. No cameras, no Geneva Convention, no laws between tribes. Two groups meet at a border. Neither can afford to back down. Violence explodes. The men fight, but what about everyone else? Scientists have been reading the answer in bones and DNA for decades. Most people just haven't heard what it says. Back then, tribes didn't fight like modern nations. No uniforms, no declarations, no line between soldier and civilian, because those ideas didn't exist. Instead, you had family bands fighting over water, land, game. When resources got scarce, conflict wasn't political, it was survival. Archaeologist Lawrence Keeley studied skeletons from prehistoric sites across Europe and North America. What he found shattered the old myth that ancient humans were peaceful until civilization ruined them. The bones showed organized, repeated violence between groups. At some sites, up to 60% of the remains bore signs of violent death. But here's what the bones really told them about who died and who didn't. Adult males died most often. Their skeletons carry the marks of direct fighting. Cracked skulls, broken forearm bones from blocking blows, arrowheads lodged in spines. They died fighting or fleeing. Women and children showed something different. Fewer combat wounds, but they didn't come through unharmed. What happened to them was quieter, more indirect, and in some ways more disturbing than the men's injuries. A 2015 study in Nature Genetics looked at ancient DNA from prehistoric Europe and Central Asia. After violent conflicts, local male lineages often collapsed almost completely. Y chromosome signatures from defeated populations sometimes vanished within a few generations. But mitochondrial DNA, passed down through mothers, frequently stuck around. The women survived. Their genes continued. But their entire social world had been torn apart around them. The DNA was telling a story the bones couldn't. Women weren't killed as often as men. They were taken. In nearly every documented case of prehistoric warfare, the pattern holds. Defeated men died. Women of childbearing age were absorbed into the winning group. Children were a harder call. The youngest faced the worst odds. A crying infant could give away a raiding party moving fast through dangerous land. At the Crow Creek Massacre site in South Dakota, around 1325 AD, researchers found nearly 500 people killed systematically. Very young children were badly underrepresented in the remains, likely killed on the spot or left behind. Older children had better chances. Old enough to work, old enough to learn a new language, young enough to lose loyalty to the group they'd lost. Anthropologists see the same pattern in the Amazon, the American Southwest, Sub-Saharan Africa. Captured children adopted into the victor's community. Within one generation, those children became indistinguishable from the people who had destroyed their families. But here's the part that genetic data revealed that no one saw coming. This practice was so systematic, so ancient, that it literally rewrote the human genome. A 2017 study led by Mark Lipson at Harvard Medical School analyzed genetic diversity in prehistoric Eurasia. They found a wildly uneven ratio of female to male genetic ancestors. In some groups, for every one male ancestor in the gene pool, there were up to 17 female ancestors. 17 to 1. That ratio doesn't come from peaceful mixing. It comes from a world where male lineages were wiped out over and over, while women from those same lineages were absorbed into surviving groups. Your own DNA carries the echo of thousands of years of this pattern on every continent humans ever reached. What makes this hard to sit with isn't just the violence. It's the sheer weight of ordinary human experience behind it. For tens of thousands of years, this wasn't a footnote. It was a recurring fact of life, shaping the genes, cultures, and minds of every population on Earth. The women who were taken didn't vanish from history. They built new lives inside the groups that had destroyed everything they knew. They raised children. They passed down languages, skills, memories, quietly, invisibly, in ways archaeology can barely trace. There's a kind of survival that history never learned to honor. Not the victor survival, not the warrior whose name gets carved in stone. The survival of someone who lost everything in one night without warning and still found a way to keep going, to raise children, to carry something forward from the world that was stolen from them. For most of human history, that was the most common story there was. We just never learned how to tell it.